Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. May I have your attention for a while? So this session will begin shortly, and please mute your microphone and kindly turn on your camera throughout the events, and please take note there are two codes for this session, and there is a code right now on the screen, so you need to enter this code in the link as a proof of your attendance, and the last code will be appearing after the session ends, and the link will be available in the chat box. Thank you. Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. Attention to all of you. This session will begin shortly, and please mute your microphone and kindly turn on your camera throughout the events. And please take note there are two codes for this session, and there is a code on the screen, and you need to enter this code in the links as a proof of your attendance, and the last code will be appearing after the session ends, and the link will be available in the chat box. Thank you. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Future with CPA Australia session. So let me introduce myself. I am Nohartini and it's my pleasure to be your MC this morning. And I would like to say thank you so much for everyone for joining us today. And moving right along, it's now my pleasure to introduce our guest, Miss Charlotte, representing CPA Australia as our speaker for this morning. Hello, Miss Charlotte, are you there?
Yes, very good morning to everyone. Thank you so much, Cindy.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. We are still working from home.
Right.
I think most of you are probably at home too, right?
Yeah, probably. All right. So before Miss Charlotte giving her talk. So I would like to talk about Miss Charlotte a bit. So Miss Charlotte has over 6 years of marketing experience and has worked with numerous international clients across the conference, association, and education industry. And she's currently working with the Faculty of Business Administration of Memorial University in Canada. She travels regularly within Asia, assisting the management of program partnership and the marketing and development in the region. So, ladies and gentlemen, without wasting our time, so please welcoming our honorable guest, Ms. Charlotte Lim, to giving her talk.
All right. Thank you so much. Very good morning to everyone. Thank you for your time. So I guess before we start, I do want to add on to what Timmy has mentioned. So my background is very much in the education industry. So currently I am from the business development team of CPA Australia, with the office based in Mid Valley. Right. So when it's safe to come to Mid Valley, feel free to visit us when our office is open. It's open to members, non-members. You can always come up and take a look. If in the future you do happen to come for any training, any workshops, our office is the place that you will come by. So yeah, it's at the Gardens South Tower. Feel free to visit us. So today I don't think I would take that long, or 2 hours, right? I don't want to bore you for so long, but I do want to share with you a little bit about, of course, what we do, who is CPA Australia, how is CPA maybe a bit different compared to the other options that you have, right? I think it's always good to understand a bit more of the different options that you have in the market. With all due respect, I do believe that every program and professional body has its own strengths, right? Because we are run differently, our origins are different, the focus of the programs are different as well. So it's important that you consider based on, your suitability, find out a bit more so that you can understand which program is suitable for you. Okay, so let's get started. I'm just gonna share my screen. So yes, I know that most of you here have been probably listening to a lot of sessions. I want to try and keep this as interactive as possible. The whole reason that we are here is to hopefully, give you more options, give you more understanding of, what are the choices you have. So please feel free to, put it in the chat, ask away any questions that you have. Then I can understand better what are your concerns, right? Whether is it, how difficult are the subjects, how's the passing rate, is it hard to pass, is it hard to look for a job? There are different concerns, and I believe every one of you might have different considerations. So this is the good chance to, ask any questions that you have. Yes, so I believe you can see my screen now. Alrighty, let's get started. So yes, who is CPA Australia? We are one of the largest global accounting bodies in the world, right? And right now, we are currently standing at over 166,000 members in about 100 countries. Now, more than 25,000 of our members are actually holding senior leadership positions. So meaning that they are leading teams of people, right? And well, CPA Australia, we've been around for quite a while, actually, more than 130 years. So you can be assured that it's a body that is established and very experienced. So you can see at the bottom here, these are some of our core member services. So what are our core member services? So you can see here, of course, education is the main one, right? So CPA program, this is how you get your professional qualification. But that is not the only thing that we do, okay? So we have a policy and advocacy team. So what we do is that we also work very closely with governments in different countries. They do a lot of research, surveys, they publish papers. Basically, what we do is also that we represent the accounting profession in influencing or discussing policies that are related to finance and accounting. Now for the CPA program and resources, a lot of it is online. So that's why we also do provide technical support for our members. And training. So by now, most of you would probably already know that, once you become a professional accountant, right, it doesn't stop there. You have to fulfill certain hours of professional training, right, your continuous development training or CPD. So this is where training comes in as well, because it's important that you continue to stay updated in the industry. So maybe let's say, for example, what we hear now, right? Blockchain, AI, these are technology that didn't exist quite some time ago, right? Maybe when I was studying. Okay. So yes, so this is also why even professionals in the industry, they have to continuously improve themselves. Okay, a quick snapshot of our global presence here. So you can see the blue shaded areas. These are the countries that our members are currently working at. So you can be assured that with the designation, with the CPA designation, you are recognized in other countries as well. It's not just in Australia or in Malaysia. If you do eventually plan to work overseas in the future, right, you know that this is a designation that is globally recognized and accepted. So the yellow little dots you see here, these are our locations of our staff offices, like Malaysia, Hong Kong, Singapore. These are our longest standing offices around the world. And of course, we started off in Australia. So every state in Australia, we do have an office. We also have an office in London, in Indonesia, Vietnam, different parts of China as well. Now, we are technically 1 year older than Malaysia. So why do I say that? Because our very first member was in Malaysia 1 year before the independence of Malaysia. So, okay lah, technically we are a bit older than Malaysia. Right now, we have 11,000 members in Malaysia, and a quarter of them are associate members. So if you do eventually start the CPA professional program, right? So when you are pursuing the program, you are known as an associate member. So your title will be ASA. So this title is also recognized. You can use this title in your resume, in your LinkedIn profile. So this is where you, so this actually shows your potential employers that, you are putting in the effort and time in doing the program. So as an associate member, you enjoy the same benefits as a CPA member generally. So you get all the resources as well. So the only difference is that you haven't completed the professional program yet. Right now, we have over 400 recognized employer partners. So what does it mean to be a recognized employer partner? So a lot of companies here, of course, these are just some of the more familiar brands you see, right? You would recognize Big Four. Apart from accounting firms, we also work with like banking and services, banks, global shared services, right? So you see here Dell, IBM, DHL, these are all the global shared services. Now, when they are recognized employer partner by CPA Australia, it means that we have already looked at their training and development policy, right? So we know that they provide adequate training for their staff. A lot of them also do actually support their staff in taking the professional programs, be it subsidized or sponsorship. So yeah, if you are interested in looking out for companies who would sponsor you, then always get in touch with us. We can always recommend you or connect you with some of our recognized employer partners. Right? A lot of them are actually still actively hiring for interns or for fresh graduates. So we know that because of last year, there's been a lot of hiring freeze. Depending on industry, some industry may be slowing down their hiring still, but we do have employer partners who are actively expanding and hiring. Okay, so if let's say, looking out for a job, this is your concern, your interests, reach out to us, right? We are very happy to connect you with the companies as well. So internationally, we are one of the member bodies of IFAC, International Federation of Accountants. So internationally, this is the governing body for all the professional accounting associations. And of course, locally, we also have an MOU with Malaysia Institute of Accountants, MIA. You'll be familiar with this. So once you become a CPA member, you can automatically apply to become an MIA member. Okay. And of course, we also have other partnership agreements with other countries, some other bodies. So in the future, let's say because of work, you have to relocate or you have to go overseas, then this is also this might be useful for you in the future if you need it. Now, interestingly, I just want to share a little bit about something that I saw in the Michael Page salary benchmark budget that they just published. So this is for 2020. Pretty new, I would say, because we are just in early 2021. This is a free report. You can download it. You can request and download it. If you want, I'm happy to share the report as well. So I just want to share a little bit about. So yes, what's happening in the workforce, right? What's happening now in the industry? So just want to draw your attention here, on some of the important items here, right? So this is, you can see this is the sentiment, what people are thinking, right? What are Malaysia workforce thinking? So you can see that, yes, like it's interesting. You see 34% of Malaysian workforce feel that they have no freedom to take a break during work hours, right? That is a bit sad. And I believe that it's also, this is the time, before you enter the workforce, for you to think about what matters to you, what would you like to prioritize, right? In your career, in your job. There's always different things. Sometimes we need to pick and choose. Sometimes we need to prioritize certain important things, right? Is it the salary? Is it your growth opportunity, your learning and growth opportunity, or the scope that you are doing, right? So also just sharing here, I think this is important, the top left one, right? What are the key skills that are important in the workforce? Okay, do you think you have these key skills, right? And if you don't, what can you do, or how can you improve on that? Just to get a quick, let me see. I'm not sure whether I can, oh yes, I can see the chat actually. So I was just wondering, most of you here, which year are you in? Can you maybe just type a number so that I know, are you in your second year? Are you in your final year? Which year are you in? Okay, I see third year. A lot of you are third year. Nice. Here I can see some responses coming in. Okay, so I can see most of you are in your second year and third year. Good. Thank you for responding. okay, second year, third year. It's good. So I think if you're in your second year, right, then of course you know you still have some time to brush up on certain skills. If you are not very good in, let's say, I don't know, communication, so this is the time you can start to think, what can you do, or what can you learn, how can you learn, so that, you know, you have the skill sets, and also you have, you know, you have more content to be put into your resume, right? So here you can see, it's interesting, some of the thoughts. I know you guys are definitely not Gen X, probably not millennials as well. I think you are younger, you're much younger, right? But it's interesting to see, you know, what millennials think, right, when accepting a job here. Also, you can see in terms of their job experience, right? How are the job experiences like? Not forgetting, right? If you look at this report in detail, again, I'm happy to share if you like to have the full report. So you can see that I want you to think about this. So if you look at the starting pay, the average starting salary of a fresh graduate, it generally, right, in the business industry, not talking about certain more higher level, of course, depending on which city you are in, the salaries might be different. But generally, if you look at the average, we're talking about maybe somewhere around 36,000 to 40,000 per year. So that is roughly around 3,500 per month, right? As your starting salary as maybe a junior, maybe a junior executive in maybe accounts, right? Accounts payable, accounts receivables. And if you then look at the different positions and how the salary actually increases, right? When you move on to managerial level, your salary might double or become more. So from 3,500 to 3,000, you might be earning 6,000 to 7,000. On average, of course, certain industries pay a little bit more, right? So in the managerial level, you might be earning between 6,000 to 8,000, maybe more if you're more experienced. So then the question to think about is, what are the skill sets, or what are the things that are required, the qualities that are needed for you to actually be able to rise up, right? Well, I think it's okay to think that, I mean, all of us, right, or every one of us, we want better benefits, we want better work-life balance, we want a healthy, productive work environment, we want a good team to work with, and of course, we want to have a salary that we think is compatible to the value that we bring, right? So then this is the question that you can start to think about. What makes a difference between a manager and a junior executive? Okay. My suggestion, go check out the job advertisements, look at the job scope, okay? Although when you first graduate, you definitely, of course, you don't have the experience, you can't apply for a managerial role that maybe requires 5 to 10 years of experience. But looking at the job scope, looking at the qualities and characteristics required in the job scope might give you a glimpse of what are the things that employers are looking for. Okay, perhaps, you know, your professional knowledge is one, your fundamental knowledge is one, right? Maybe some of them might require you to be professionally qualified, but more and more so, there's a lot of people skills that are involved, right? There are a lot of soft skills that are involved, and these are the areas that will differentiate you from your peers and eventually from your teammates, from your colleagues as well. So if we just also move on very quickly. So in this report that you can see, okay, unfortunately, there is no specific industry in accounting. So it's not specifically for the accounting firms, but the closest we can get is business services, of course, where they also have accounting, a large team of finance and accounting. It's good to know that finance is still, is still a position that is demanded, highly demand. So you can see finance here. So at least you know that, okay, there's actually still a lot of jobs out there for you. Okay. And let's see. Okay, so even in financial services, of course, this is more on the banking side already. Also, finance is one. So trending skills, digital, right? Digital analytics. If you look at the left side, trending skills, insights and data management, I think that is interesting as well. Change management and transformation. Of course, the roles in demand, a lot of these require certain experience, but not forgetting every one of us, we need to start somewhere, right? We have to start somewhere in order to gain that experience. So it's important that when you look out for your first job, find something that will give you the value in growing your skills, right? In growing your experience and your expertise. Okay, so for the first few years, that is very important because that decides then how are you going to move on from there. So if you choose something that's easy, doesn't give you much growth, then you will find that your career path will be moving on very slowly, right? If you can, always think of something that challenges you, that pushes you to grow, to learn, right? So that at least, after 2 to 3 years, when you have really good skill sets, then you have better bargaining power to go for, something that is much better. So, yep, touching on that, the reason that I wanted to share that with you is also for you to start to think, what are the job skills that are needed in the real world, right, in the industry. And touching on that, this is also actually one of the focus of the CPA program, right? So the CPA program, when it's designed, it's not only, CPA Australia staff sitting down and, coming up with the program. We work very closely with academics. We work with our employer partners as well. So basically, these are people who hire, right? These are companies who hire talents. So we also work with regulators. So regulators, so knowing that, okay, in financial reporting, what are the areas that should be tested so that you can be sure that, when you are professionally qualified, you really are able to take on, the challenges that's in the job in the future. So soft skills and leadership skills, that's something that we focus a lot on for CPA Australia. Okay, so I'm just gonna skip. Okay, so happy to share that last year, because of COVID, right, we actually managed to turn around pretty quickly and provided online exam solution to all our candidates, right? So if you have prepared for your exam and because of MCO, then exam centers are closed. So that's quite sad, right? So this is also why we tried our best, and most of our candidates managed to actually change the exam to online proctored exam. So also then moving on from last year onwards, basically right now you are able to choose between scheduling your exam at a test center or doing online exam. Okay, so if you do the CPA program, then you don't have to worry. Let's say suddenly the numbers go up again, suddenly we have MCO, touch wood, hopefully not, then yeah, but you know that you won't be affected, right? You can always schedule your exam online. So that is a good option. So what does it mean to, have the CPA designation? Of course, remember the blue map that we looked at earlier, right? It is internationally recognized and also shows to your employers that you have a certain level of professional competence in that sense. So the title is widely accepted by employers. in the market. So of course, a lot of employers, depending on industry as well. Now, certain industries, they only hire professionally qualified accountants, right? So yes, let's move on. Now, very important, if anything, I think for this entire session, yep, this is the one slide that I would want to reiterate on. So how is the CPA program different from some of the other options that are in the market? So firstly, the CPA program is relevant and current. So our program is very updated. On average, about every year or every 1 to 2 years, there will be a major revamp on our program. Okay, so basically, you can be sure that the case studies, the materials that you read, those are extremely updated. Even the lecturers who teach the subjects, they themselves mention to us that they have to study before they teach, right? Because it's so new. Whereas some lecturers, they actually teach a few different programs, subjects from different programs. And they mentioned that some programs, they can already teach closing one eye or maybe two eyes, right? They don't have to read because it's the same content. But for the CPA program, even the lecturers themselves, they have to improve themselves and they have to read. So the CPA program is designed to be done online on a self-study mode. So this is good for you if you plan to do it on a part-time mode. Okay, so all the resources are online. Of course, we also have tuition option. If you feel that, okay, I need tuition, I have to go for a class, right? Then we do have tuition options for you as well. But most of our candidates actually don't go for tuition because the online resources are actually more than enough to support you. Okay, so we are probably also one of the only professional bodies have such huge resource of online support for students, right? Which we will look at what are some of the resources that we have later. So another difference of the CPA program is that it doesn't just focus on the technicalities of accounting, right? So it's a very practical program that focuses on a lot of application. So we want you to really understand and to be able to apply what you learn. So that is one reason why you see the program is actually an open book exam. Okay, the professional program, the professional subjects are open book exams. Okay, so in the real world, you would be able to refer to books, right, when you actually work. So it's really just about you understanding the concepts and being able to apply it, and not just trying to memorize everything or trying to use certain exam techniques to pass the exam. So some of you here, might think that, okay, I want to go into the more technical role, right? There's a lot of different directions in finance and accounting. So some of you might say, okay, I want to go into maybe more interested in audits, some of you in tax, some maybe advisory. So based on these different directions, you also would want, something that, a designation or a program that gives you that versatility to be, to be flexible, to be versatile. So some of you might actually go into management role in the future, right? You might be leading your own team. You may not be in a very technical role, right? You might be facing clients, managing multiple projects, right? So you would also want a program or designation that focuses not just on the technicalities of accounting, but also on business, on strategy and leadership. So just very quickly here, for the pathway, right? I believe most of you here would probably be from accounting or business background. So in the event that you have done or you are currently doing a degree in accounting, then you are most likely able to proceed straight down to become an associate member and start the program at a professional level. If, let's say, maybe some of you are not from accounting background, we do have some members who, let's say, are from IT, from engineering, from other areas, then most likely you might have to do some foundation subjects, because these are like the core knowledge areas that you need to have before you can start the professional papers. Okay, so once you enroll in the program, there are 6 subjects to be completed. And with that, you do need to have a degree, which all of you definitely would have, and a 3-year work experience before you become a CPA. Now, one of the other differences of the CPA program is that a bachelor's degree qualification or more, it's our requirement. Okay, so basically you can say that all the CPA members would, at the very minimum, have a bachelor's degree, okay, or higher level qualification. So this is one of our key requirements to become a CPA member. And also to touch on this, this is also a reason why perhaps compared to some other programs, we have a much smaller entry pathway, because we can't, or we don't take in members who are who doesn't have a degree. So let's say if they finish SPM or diploma, then unfortunately they can't become a CPA member because they don't have a degree. So this is also one of the reasons why in terms of the pathways, we don't have such a wide pathway, entry pathways, compared to maybe some other options. All right. Yes, a quick glance on the foundation exams. So if you have done, you are doing an accounting degree, chances are you would have done some of these already. So these will be exempted. Okay. So, but let's say if you are maybe you are doing a marketing degree or other areas, then it's important that you still have to go through these foundation subjects, right? So foundation subjects are much less demanding than a professional paper. It's all multiple choice questions, okay? So you can take a foundation exam any time in the year. So just a quick look, what are the subjects in the CPA program? So the 4 on the left, this is the compulsory subjects, right? The core papers, and there are 2 electives. Now the core papers, some of it would be wouldn't be too new to you. You would be familiar with these. Some requirements are under IFAC, right? So pretty much it's quite standard across the board. For example, financial reporting, right? So that adheres to the international financial reporting standards. Ethics and governance as well. So this component is also compulsory under the requirement of IFAC. For the CPA program, we have 2 semesters in a year. Okay, so the first one runs from January with exams in April. The second one starts in July with exams in October. For exams, it's flexible. So there is a 2-week exam window. So you get to schedule your exam anytime, any date within the window. Like what I shared earlier, you can choose to do online exam or you can choose to do it at a test center. Okay, it's mostly multiple choice questions, if that makes you a bit happier, right? But that doesn't actually mean that it's much easier, right? It may not be easier, but I guess it makes us feel a bit better knowing that there's a lot of MCQ. So usually it's 75% MCQ, depending on the paper, and 20 to 25% is short response questions, okay? So the professional papers is all open book and it's 3 hours and 15 minutes. So technically open book doesn't mean that you have a lot of time to flip through the book, right? But of course there are certain tips, certain recommended techniques for you to utilize that open book, okay? So just gonna quickly go through this. I think I won't go through every one of these. I just want to touch on the last one you see on the right, global strategy and leadership. So this is actually the star subject of our program. A lot of members, they enjoy this subject very much. I personally like it as well. I've read through the book. I've seen also the case studies. So in this subject, it's called a capstone subject because you have to complete the other three first, right? Because you are required to utilize what you have learned in the other three subjects and apply it on case studies for this global strategy and leadership. So global strategy and leadership, it's a very dynamic subject. It's not so technical, not so dry, right? So it allows you to really apply what you learn into business case studies. So it gives you a better idea of how businesses actually work. So this is definitely one subject that a lot of members actually enjoy. And electives, you can choose from here, right? Whether you want to do tax, audit, Malaysia tax, if it applies to your interests or your work. Okay. So yes, just now we mentioned one thing. One of the strengths of the CPA program is our resources. So what exactly are the resources, right? So when you start the program online on the self-study mode, don't worry, right? You are not being left alone by yourself, not knowing what to do, right? There's a very structured way and approach that we recommend. And there are a lot of resources and tools to support you at different stages of the semester. Right? So from the start of the semester, you get videos to help you prepare. You get short quizzes along the way to help you keep track of your progress. Of course, you also have videos, webinars, and notes along the way. Okay, so these interactive resources actually help in a way that you are not just reading a book, right? So we all know that sometimes reading a book is just so boring, right? It's definitely not something that is very interesting sometimes, right? To some of us, I'm not sure. Maybe some of you finds financial reporting interesting, for example, right? But a lot of us may find it a bit dry. So having videos and webinars and case studies actually helps a little bit, because then you don't have to keep reading all the time. You can take 10-15 minutes to watch a video, right? You can take some time to play with the business simulation. So it's a gamification. So yep, here, these are all the multiple resources that we have. I want to draw your attention to the center one, Ask the Expert Forum. So the good thing is, if you study halfway through, you have a question, there is this forum that you can put your questions into, and within 48 hours, the experts team will respond to your question. So we also have a Facebook group for each subject. So you can, it's a very active group. I mean, some of the groups, if you have questions, we can always ask in the Facebook group. There will be students from other countries who will respond, right? Sometimes they also share some of the tips and share their notes as well on the Facebook group. So all these resources here, these are all there to help you to prepare for the exam and to pass the exam. And we also noticed that for most of our candidates who utilize all these online resources on top of their textbook, right, they actually do have a much higher chance of passing the paper. Now, talking about passing the paper, for different subjects, of course, we do have different passing rates, but on average, the passing rates are pretty good, right? They are roughly at about between 65% to about 80, 89, high 80s. So I think that's a pretty good passing rate, right? Mainly because of all these resources that you have. So as long as you allocate time to go through these resources, right? Of course, you don't try to squeeze everything, 2 weeks before the exam. That's a bit challenging. But if you are able to plan it out, that means every week you spend time in going through the resources, right? There is no reason why you can't pass the paper. So I just want to show you some examples of these business simulation examples taken directly out of our professional paper. So like this one that you will be seeing shortly, it's a very short business simulation snippet that's taken from Ethics and Governance.
We know that when you're learning something new, being able to practice and apply the theory is a great way to enrich your understanding and build your confidence in the subject matter. When you study ethics and governance, for example, you'll have access to a range of interactive learning resources, including this business simulation. The simulation will challenge your decision-making based on the fictitious District Hotel Group and enable you to gain insights into how well you're applying content from the study guide. In this simulation, you will play the role of a junior accountant who is responsible for analysing and reporting on the launch of new hotels within the group. You should draw on the content learnt from your study guide, make the choices, see the impact, and learn from your results to see how well you understand the knowledge.
Yep, so that's taken directly out of our ethics and governance subject, right? So yeah, so I mean, this is not too bad, you know, for learning purposes, right? So it's, at least there's a bit of fun when you learn. So you see, you can see from here for different subjects, we do have different resources. Like for financial reporting, there are some calculations. So we also have interactive learning tasks where there's actually a pop-up that actually explains to you how the calculations are done. So this guided learning approach is what we use to guide our candidates throughout the semester. So for every step here, 1, 2, 3, 4, there are different tools to support you. Okay, so you can be assured that, you know, you are well taken care of, you know, with all the different resources here to help you prepare for the exam. So just want to show you here a testimonial from Ashikin. So she's one of our high achievers in our professional papers, right? And one of the things that she shares here is quite relevant is, you know, the reason that she chose this program is because of the flexibility and convenience, right? All you need is a computer with internet access and you're good to go. So with a single click, you have access to extensive resources, right? All the online webinars, your study guide, your practice questions, and your quizzes. So also coming up next, I want to share with you a testimonial. This is also our associate member.
I've completed 3 CPA program subjects so far. As a candidate with English as my second language, I'll describe my experience with the CPA program as a smooth journey so far, as I'm thankful for the ample resources that have been provided to help me throughout my CPA program. The tools and resources that I use to prepare for my exams are mainly the study guide and my online learning. I'm especially grateful for the weekly webinars that really help me to keep on top of my studies weekly. I recommend for future candidates to be well aware of the ample resources that are available, such as my online learning, Ask the Expert Forum, that will be a great help to you completing your exam.
Yep, so that's from one of our associate members.
I've completed.
All right, so I just want to also quickly touch on, so before we move on, also just a gentle reminder, right? If you have any questions for me, any concerns, please share it in the chat. I'm happy to address it at the end of the session. All right. So here, yes, we talked about the 3-year work experience. So this is pretty much the same across all the other professional bodies as well, because this is the requirement under IFAC. Okay, so you do need to have a 36-month relevant work experience before you can officially become a professionally qualified accountant. So this 36 months can start can be counted even before you start the program. That is possible. Internship can be counted as well, as long as it's at least 6 months. If it's less than 6 months, then unfortunately it cannot be counted. Okay, so you do need to have to fulfill certain skill sets, but generally speaking, as long as your work is related to finance and accounting, then there shouldn't be any problems for you to fulfill the skill sets that's listed here. So most importantly, you do need to have another professional accountant recognized under IFAC to sign off your experience claim form. Okay, so this accountant doesn't necessarily have to be just a CPA member. It could be members of other bodies as well. Alrighty, so some of it we have already mentioned before. So if you are doing it on a part-time basis, it takes on average 2 to 3 years to complete, right? We do recommend to set aside 10 to 15 hours of study per week. Okay, so yep, it's definitely feasible to do this part-time while you work, because well, all the resources are online, right? So you can actually access it anytime. Okay, one of the things that I do want you to know is also, you know, when you become professionally qualified, that means you pass your exams and, you know, hooray, everything, you pass everything, but it doesn't mean that it actually stops right there, okay? Well, this is just the start of your professional journey. So joining a professional body, the biggest value is actually the resources and the network that the body can provide. Okay, so when you become a member of a professional body, you also get access to all the resources that they offer. In CPA Australia's case, we do have a lot of online resources in different areas and specializations. So depending on where your career takes you to. Okay, so online, you can see here, pre-COVID time, we do have a lot of networking events as well. So you get to meet other professionals from other industries. So this is also the chance for you to get to know more of your peers or your seniors in other companies or in other industries. We do have complementary professional development resources as well, be it non-technical or technical. So non-technical can be soft skills, can be resume writing, interviews. So all these are actually provided for members as well. Okay. So, well, so then this actually, you know, the good thing is, you know, once you become professionally qualified, you know that you can rely on, you know, the body to provide you with updates with the latest resources, right? What's happening in the industry. Okay, so this is a digital magazine that we have, and some of the topics that are actually featured, be it AI, blockchain, what's the technology that's being used. As a member, you actually also receive weekly updates, okay? Weekly updates of what's happening, of any government policy changes. All right, so this is important for any one of our friends here. This is mainly for Bumiputra applicants. We have a Yayasan Peneraju funding that actually funds the program. So if you are interested, do let me know. So happy to share the application details for Yayasan Peneraju. Okay. And our next semester starts in June. Early enrollment starts in June, and then the semester starts in July. Okay. Now, yes, important thing about, so how much do we have to invest in the program? So for CPA Australia, the fees are relatively straightforward. We only have 3 types of fees here. So the first is a one-time application fee, which we currently have a promo code to waive the fee. Okay. Wait, let me see. I think we have a friend who is not muted. So can I request that everyone please try to mute yourself if you're not talking. All right, thank you so much. Yes. And yep, moving on, we also have, so when you start the professional papers, there is a membership fee. It's an annual fee of $690. So that is paid once a year. And the third type of fee is the subject fee. So the subject fee of 2,500 that you see here, it's inclusive of all the resources already, right? So we don't charge exemption fees, we don't charge exam fees as well. So basically the 2,500 here is inclusive of your book. You get a hard copy, soft copy book as well, and all the resources that you see earlier, including your exams and all. All right. So this would be the part on the fee. Now, a very important thing here, please do scan this form so that I have your contact details. I will get in touch with you once you put your information in this form so that I can share the promo code with you as well. Or if you have any questions, be it about Yayasan Peneraju, if you want to be connected to employers, you are looking out for internships, you are looking out for jobs, right? Feel free to leave your contact details here. So, yep, once I have your details, then we can also, we will also actually inform you if, let's say, sometimes we do have webinars for students, okay? So from time to time, we work together with employer partners and organize webinars of different topics. So it could be a virtual industrial tour, be it with financial services with banks or sometimes with Big Four. Okay, so let's say if you are interested, I mean, you don't have to. A lot of these engagement webinars, they are open to non-members as well, right? So even if you are not taking a program or if you are not a member yet, feel free to still come and join our activities, right? So I'm just going to leave this here for a few more seconds. Do scan this, and yeah, do scan this and then fill out a short Google form. So meanwhile, I'm just going to see, yes, let me copy the link as well so that I can share the link. So I don't see questions at the moment. So yep, please let me know, okay, if you have any questions. So I am also just sharing the link in the chat in case you need to access it. And of course, I'm leaving my contact details here. So, if you are too shy to ask a question now and you want to have a private chat with me, feel free to contact me. So this code allows you to drop me a WhatsApp message. You can email me or WhatsApp me. That's fine. All right. So yes, yep, that's pretty much what I have for today. So let me know, if there are any questions. Okay, I do see some questions coming in. So, okay, so there's a question on exemption paper for UKM student. So for UKM, it's a recognized degree, meaning that if you graduate from an accounting degree under UKM, you are actually exempted from all the foundation papers, okay? So you are able to start the professional papers directly. Okay.
I can read the question for you. Okay.
Oh, sure.
Okay. So it's from and then before that I want to say thank you so much for Miss Charlotte for the inspiring talk. Okay, so right now is question and answer session. So it's from Alifa. I'm sorry if I missed this part, but may I know what are the requirements required to obtain this certificate?
Good question, no worries. So requirements to obtain, as in, I believe that this question meant, becoming a CPA member, right? So getting professionally qualified. So there are 3 requirements. First one is that, of course, you need to pass the professional papers, right? You need to complete the 6 papers that we mentioned. So that's the first part. Now, the second part is that you need to have a degree or equivalent. So all of you here definitely will have a degree, right? So there's no issues on this part. And number 3 is the work experience. So you need to have a 3-year work experience, relevant work experience, right? Then you will fulfill the requirements to become a CPA. Now, so that's why if let's say for some of you here, a lot of you here will be taking the program maybe when you work, okay? So in a way it's good because then you work, so you accumulate your work experience at the same time as you do the program. So by the time you finish the program, most of you would already have, let's say, 2 to 3 years of work experience. Then that will also then be counted towards the professional experience component, which means that you actually complete everything at the same time and then you become a CPA. Okay.
All right. Okay. For the next question is from Zul Aizad. Hi. What is the maximum number of years to complete the program?
Okay. Good question as well. So maximum you have a total of 6 years to complete the program, which is 6 years for 6 papers. It's more than enough for you, right? So 1 year, 1 paper. So even if you take 1 paper per semester, which is very feasible when you work, you will take 3 years to complete 6 papers. Okay, hope that answers the question.
All right. Next question is from Alia. I am filling the Google form, but what is the CPA Australia ID part?
Right. No worries about that. If you don't have it, you can leave it blank because the CPA ID is for some of you who might have registered an account before or created an account with CPA before, then you would have the ID. But if not, then it's fine. I think you can leave it blank or just put like not applicable NA.
All right. It's from Wong. How many papers will be exempted from for CPA Australia?
Yep. So like I mentioned earlier, so if you are doing the accounting degree with UKM, then you will have exemptions for your foundation papers. So you will be exempted from the 6 foundation papers in the CPA program, which means that you have another 6 more professional papers to be done in the CPA program.
Okay, next question is from Sarim. May I know how long do the candidate take to complete the CPA program, and is there any time frame to complete the whole program?
Yep. So yes, basically if you do it on a part-time basis, right? Most people take 2 to 3 years to complete the program because there are 6 papers. Now, you also do have the option to do it on a full-time basis, which let's say some of you say after graduation, maybe I don't want to work first, okay? I want to complete the program. So then the shortest time to do the 6 papers would be with 2 semesters on a full-time basis. That means 1 semester, you take 3 papers. So within 2 semesters, you can complete all 6. So that's on a full-time mode. So if you are working, we don't recommend that you take 3 papers per semester because that is a full-time load. If you are working at the same time, then 3 papers will be too much. So if you are working, I would recommend 1 or 2 papers per semester. And the time frame part to complete the whole program will be 6 years to complete 6 papers.
All right, so the next question is from Audrey. I'm a third year student in accountancy. May I take this CPA course while I study?
Yes, I believe that. Okay, so this differences as well as compared to some other programs is that because remember we talked about the CPA program needing you to have a degree qualification. This is because the CPA program professional papers is benchmarked against a postgraduate level qualification. Okay, so that is why we do need you to complete your core papers in your degree before you can start the professional papers. With that said, so to answer this question, this would depend whether when do you complete your core papers, because I think if I remember correctly, for you all, you have different pathways, right? So if you take the professional pathway, the professional route, meaning that you actually complete most of your core papers in your third year, right, penultimate year, then yes, for your final year, you will be able to start the professional papers first. But let's say if you still have core papers in your final year, then then unfortunately you won't be able to start the professional papers until you have completed all your core subjects in your degree.
All right, so for the next question is from Sophia. If we fail one of the professional paper, how much cost that we need to pay to retake the paper?
Right. So unfortunately, in the unlikely event that if you fail, then you will have to re-enroll, which means that there is no option for you to actually just retake. There is no separate fee to retake, so you basically have to enroll again in the same subject. Now, that said, I mean, we always try to intervene, or we try to prevent, the failure from happening before that. So that is why there are actually options for you to, firstly, you can defer the subject. So let's say you study halfway and then for some reason, you really don't have time to complete your studies, right? So, and you don't have the confidence to pass the paper. In that case, I wouldn't recommend you go ahead because there's a high chance of you failing the paper. So instead, what you can do is you can actually choose to defer the paper, which means that it comes with a minimal cost, but at least deferring means that it automatically enrolls you for the next semester and you don't have to take the exam this semester, right? So that's one way to minimize your chances of failing. Now, the second thing is also we have a lot of checkpoints along the semester. There is a mid-semester test, okay? So the mid-semester test is a good checkpoint to know whether, are you on track? Are you, if let's say the mid-semester, you have only studied 10%, and that's a good indication that most likely you won't be able to pass, right? You don't have enough time. Now, we also have practice exams, which are which basically preps you for the actual exam. So the practice exam also gives you a good sense of whether or not you can pass, right? Are you close to passing? Are you comfortable in passing, or are you way behind the passing mark? So the practice exam also gives you a good sense of how you will perform in the actual exam. And so that also kind of helps you to decide whether do you want to defer or not for the current semester.
All right, so for the next question is from Aziza. Is there any fee from the examination paper?
No, so we don't charge exemption fees. So if you are exempted, then you're exempted, right? You don't have to pay fees for exemptions.
Okay, it's from Hafiz. What kind of options that available for me if I feel unwell on that day of my test center exam?
So usually if it's towards the last minute, you will need some form of proof, right, for your medical condition. So let's say unfortunately, if you fall sick, of course, then you need a letter from a clinic or the doctor. So for that, you can then actually write into CPA Australia to apply to apply for special consideration. So it's either you apply to defer last minute, So that is probably the best option that you have. So,
Alright. Oh, sorry.
just to add on as well, sorry, Tini.
It's okay.
This applies to all the other unforeseen circumstances as well, right? So sometimes not just falling sick, you might have other issues last minute coming up. Be it your personal issues, be it, your family or any other reasons. So I think in a way, of course, you can't use these issues without any proof, but generally, if it's something that can be proven, be it through an MC, through a letter, for like special circumstances like that, CBA Australia will always give consideration for these circumstances.
Okay, so it's from Afika Aini. If we fail the paper, how many times or paper we can repeat?
For the CPA program, for the professional papers, we don't set a limit on the number of times you can take it. You can take it as many times as possible. The only thing is, of course, the 6-year maximum applies, right? And actually what happens is by the 6th year, if you haven't completed the papers, you will still be required to pay for professional membership instead of associate membership. So, which that it's not so worth it, right? If you got to pay the professional fee, so the membership fee, but you are not a CPA yet. So then that's also a way to kind of encourage students to complete it within 6 years. Now, of course, coming back to this part on failing the paper, if let's say you fail the first or second time, we also do have our team, our member services team. We do have like resources and all to help you to identify what is the reason. In fact, when you get your results, okay, every semester, when you get your results, the results actually show you, it indicates to you which area are you lacking, right? So it actually tells you the weightage of the different modules. So let's say you are, 20 marks behind the passing rate, then your result scoring actually tells you which module are you the weakest in or which module you need to improve on. So I think the whole idea of the whole structure of the program, including the exam, is actually to help you to identify these areas. So if you fail the first time, I would say then the second time you really have to make sure that, of all the resources, you need to maximize the resources, because like what I mentioned earlier, throughout the whole semester, all the different tools and resources are there to help you to tick the boxes, right? To help you to move along the way and say, okay, I'm done with module 1. So the textbook even tells you, it's interesting that the textbook actually even tells you right from the beginning, okay, this paper has, let's say, 5 modules. Modules are like chapters. So under each module, they will tell you the weightage in the exam. Okay, this module is 25%. So you need to spend a bit more time. Maybe this module is 20%. So you need to spend lesser time. It also tells you under each module, okay, under each module, you have maybe 2 case studies. You have 1 video that you got to watch. You have certain things that you got to complete under the module. So these are all the checkpoints that are there to help you along the way. So it's more like, I would say, of course, yes, we need to understand, what's going to happen if we fail the paper, but it's more important to understand how are we going to avoid failing the paper, right? Or what can we do if we fail the paper, then what else can we do the next time, to really tackle the problem that we are facing.
All right, the next question is from Huaina. Do CPA provide physical class at college in Malaysia, or everything will be conducted online?
Right, so yes to both, right? So the program is originally designed to be done online. So all the resources are online. Now we understand that locally, of course, because of how, we are so used to going to classes here. We do have tuition providers in Malaysia. So for example, Sunway Test, Noesis, Uni Razak, Uni KL, right? These are some of our tuition providers that you can either do full-time or part-time programs with. So for example, Sunway Test, I think Sunway Test is in the midst of planning to work with UKM as well to provide UKM students the options of doing tuition. I believe Sunway Test doesn't offer just CPA program, they also offer classes for other programs as well. So yeah, you can choose to do part-time with them, you can choose to do full-time with them. Right?
Okay, next question is from Zul Aizad. Is there any students from UKM who took this paper before?
Yes, we do. One of the trends, I mean, I don't mind sharing with you, I think one of the trends we see from public universities, including UKM, is that a lot of students, they sometimes prefer to do it part-time, or they prefer to work first, and then maybe the employers will sponsor them to take the program. So this has been the trend that we see. And UKM, yes, I have met, even for myself, I've met members who are from UKM, who has been working, right? Then they apply to take the program.
All right, and the next question also from Alifa. Are the standards used by CPAs different from the standard of other professional bodies?
That's a very good question. Now, remember we talked about IFAC, International Federation of Accountants. So basically, as long as the professional body is recognized under IFAC, so there are certain international standards that we need to stick to. Okay, so it's really not up to us to say that we want to change, then we can change because it's regulated under IFAC. So if we talk about like financial reporting standards, ethics and governance components, these are very much regulated under IFAC. So pretty much I would say as long as that professional body is internationally recognized, there will be, these standards will be the same. Okay, now then it comes to the question, then what is different, right? All the different bodies, apart from the fees and the name, what is different? Now, firstly, of course, the country of origin sometimes will be different, right? So once we start off differently, that's one. But generally, I would say most of the bodies now are pretty international. So that's why in terms of country of origin, it might play a bit of a role, but it won't be that different. So the country of origin then influences the education system. Okay, so for example, UK education system versus Australian system, there might be some slight differences in terms of the focus. The feedback I hear from students is that like Australian education system in general is very practical, very down to earth, very practical. So Australian education system focuses a lot on application. Okay, so that's one. Now coming down to then other differences is, if you look at it from a business point of view, okay, the operating models of different professional bodies are different. I wouldn't say, I mean, with all due respect, this is ethics, right? So it's also part of ethics is that we respect other bodies, right? So I believe an ethical body would also respect other competing bodies as well. So there's no reason why we would actually say which body is better or worse than the other. Now, coming back to operating models, I give you an example. Some bodies, they run on a tuition operating model, okay? Meaning that they work a lot with tuition providers. They have a lot of tuition providers, right, running the program, because this is how the program generates income or how the program is run. Now, like for CPA Australia, we don't have that many tuition providers is because it's designed to be an online program. So most of our resources are all done in-house or online. So when you enroll into a subject online with CPA Australia, our materials and resources is all controlled internally and run by us. Okay, the subjects you take are run by us, maybe apart from Malaysia Tax. Okay, Malaysia Tax is run by Sunway Test, is offered by Sunway Test. So you pay directly to Sunway Test as well. You don't pay CPR Australia. So that is the operating model. Also, then we look at entry pathways, right? Like I mentioned earlier. So some professional bodies, they have a wider entry pathway, right from maybe SPM. Okay, once you graduate SPM, you can start to study your way up to the professional program. Now, how the entry pathways are structured will also then affect a few things. Okay, so it will affect branding. Okay, it will affect the branding because the more entry pathways you have, the more common you see the program sometimes, because a lot more people can take it as compared to, let's say, we only take in people with bachelor's degree. Then we are looking at a much smaller pool of students that is able to take the program. So yeah, I would say these are some of probably the more common differences that you see. Of course, different professional bodies, I would say the experience will be different, right? There would be similarities. There would be differences in the whole experience that you go with. For example, we also have students who come to us to say that, hey, you know, I really want to go for classes. I really need to go for classes, and I need to choose, you know, a program that has a tuition class that is very near me, or, you know, in the city that I live in. Maybe she's not in KL, she's in some other places. Then, you know, in that sense, of course, then I would still say you have to choose something that is suitable for yourself, right? I would recommend that look at the subjects, look at the content of the subjects, okay? These are all publicly available on the different websites, okay? Look into what exactly do you learn, what exactly are the resources that are given to you. So even for a similar subject, if you go to the website, it actually shows you, you know, the content outline. So what exactly are the topics that you learn in that subject? Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay, Saha want to ask the question. All right. Go on, Saha.
Okay. Thank you, Tini. Good morning, Ms. Charlotte.
Morning.
Sorry if the question is repeated. I just want to know: is there will be monitoring or mentoring us throughout we taking the module? Anyone will be monitoring us?
In a way, the short answer is no. We don't have like you know, we don't have like a system that monitors you. So what happens is when you start the program, we actually keep you in track by, you know, so at the very start of the semester, we actually run a live webinar with all our first-time students, like our first enrollment students, to take you through the whole resource platform, right? To show you, okay, this is, you know, the platform, how do you access all these materials and resources? So it very much works in, like for example, if you have questions on subject matter about the subject, right, we have Ask the Expert forum. If you have administrative challenges or issues, we have our member services team sitting in Malaysia. So this is where you can contact my colleagues. So I'm from the business development team. We have member services team where they will help you with, let's say you've got issues with exam scheduling, you want to change your exam scheduling. These are more administrative membership issues. Then you look for us, CPR Australia. Okay. So we work with Knowledge Equity. Knowledge Equity is our online education partner. So Knowledge Equity runs the platforms. They run the Facebook groups as well. So you pretty much, in a way, I would say that you can enjoy the flexibility of having a self-study online program, but at the same time, you do get connected through various different ways, be it through the Facebook group, or some of them, I know of students locally who they form their own study groups. They form their own like WhatsApp group or study group as well. So yeah, so this is kind of like the balance that you want to achieve.
All right, thank you, Ms. Charlotte, for answer.
Welcome.
All right. Is there any question to Miss Charlotte?
Hello, good morning, Miss Charlotte.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Okay, so my name is Audrey. I'm a third year student now. So next semester, I'll be doing my intern, and before I know, I will be graduating. And like, I'm actually very confused on my path. As CPA Australia, we can only take after we complete our core subjects, right? So, do you think I should straight away do my CPA papers full time, or should I work first? As we need 3 years of experience, right?
Yep.
What are your advices?
That's a good question. I mean, that's a very valid consideration that you have. Now, I would say that firstly, there are some questions to think about as well. Firstly, like, what is the reason that you want to study full time, or do you have any like financial considerations of needing to work first, for example? So for a lot of us, I guess sometimes we want to work at the same time so that we gain experience and we are able to support ourselves at the same time. Now, coming to that, I would share with you, the pros and cons of both sides, right? When you work and study at the same time, the good thing is, of course, you gain actual experience, right, while studying. That helps your studies as well, because it gives you a real sense of how things are running. So you're not studying in a vacuum. So you would eventually realize that when you do professional papers, or even when you do masters, you do MBA in the future or professional papers in the future, you will realize that what we study in degree in uni, it's very theoretical, right? It's very conceptual, it's very theoretical. But a lot of things, when you actually work, when you learn from experience, then you realize that, I can better understand this concept because I see it happening in the real workplace. Then this is the good side of it, because you learn at the same time. And of course, then in terms of, in realistic point of view, financially, it's not so tedious because you are working and studying at the same time. Now, full-time studies is good. Firstly, you don't have to rush to work first. Secondly, you can focus better on your studies. Okay, so if you're the kind of person that you are really bad in multitasking, and you really cannot focus, you need 100% attention and focus to study, you cannot do like I work and then come back weekend I need to study, that kind, you find it challenging, then full-time studies is good in that sense, because you focus all your energy in doing one thing. You focus passing all the subjects, like 3 papers in one semester. It's very close to, it will be very similar to your uni life in that sense, right? So it's about classes, exams, assignments, homework. So you're very focused. So yeah, I would say, yeah, there are both pros and cons. It's really your consideration. So we do have students who complete 6 papers on a full-time basis in 1 year, and then they move on to work. Now, another good thing is, doing that, some employers will be more prone to hiring you when you have completed your papers, right? Because for them, it's also shorter time. So for them, it's like, I save time, I save cost. I don't have to sponsor you, and you're already almost finishing your papers, or you already completed all your papers. Then in terms of hiring opportunities, you might see higher hiring opportunities.
All right, thank you, Miss Charlotte.
Hope that helps a little bit in considering your options.
Yeah, I'll think about it. Thank you.
All right, I think that's it. The question. Before that, what advice you like to give our audience today to who want to take CPA papers?
Well, I think maybe one step back is that for all students, I think firstly, I would strongly encourage, you to take professional papers. Firstly, right? Not even saying which professional paper. Do take. So I think a lot of students might also think that, okay, I can become an MIA member after 3 years, right? So maybe I don't need to go for another professional exam. Now, I need to point out to you that this is from our conversations with all the different employer partners as well, because we work very closely with employers. So I see employers from accounting firms, from SMEs, from different companies, and I can tell you that they do value professional qualifications, especially the exam-based ones. Okay, so in terms of the quality that you learn is definitely different. Okay, so if you think long term, right? Think long term. Don't think of short term. It seems like an attractive way sometimes in the short run, but think long term. The earlier you take it, the better it is for you, because as you progress in your career, you will just only get busier. Okay, it's not gonna get easier. It's not gonna get less demanding. You're gonna get busier as you become more experienced. You take up more responsibilities. You move up to a higher role, right? From junior, you become senior. You become assistant manager. You go up. You're just gonna get busier. So it's just gonna get harder if you do it later. Okay, do it earlier. If you are not considering taking a professional paper, please do reconsider. Even I'm talking about this from the point of view, of someone in the education line and also in the corporate line. Even if you're not taking CPA Australia's program, I would still encourage you, yes, must take a program. And of course, then moving to the second step, you have all the different options that you take, right? So I would still say choose a program that suits you, the mode, right? If you think that online is the way to go, you want something more flexible, CPA might be a good option for you, might be suitable. Okay, check out the differences in all the passing rates, the structure of the program, the focus of the program. If you are looking for something more dynamic, not so technical, right? Also focuses on business with a very healthy passing rate. I think CPA stands in a pretty good position in that sense, right? We see a lot of students who take programs just because my friends take this. A lot of friends go with this option, so my friends must take this option. But think about it, right? Think about why are you taking this option, right? It's your own path. Your friend's strength may not be your strength. Your friend might be good in certain things, or your friend might be interested in something more technical, but you might have different interests. You might have different strengths. So choose something that is suitable for you, right? Again, think of long term. Yeah, that's pretty much what I would say. And of course, if you are interested in the CPA program, connect with me. Remember to fill out the form, connect with me. Happy to, talk with you further in terms of the details on application, to see what is the fastest way for you to start, which subject to take first, all these things we can always connect after. And yep, that's pretty much it, I would say. And also just to share, we do have some interesting webinars coming up. I think next week, we have a resume writing webinar as well with Baker Tilly. They are one of the larger medium-sized firms, also very good company culture to work with. So Baker Tilly Malaysia, we are having a session with them. So throughout the semester, we actually do have a lot of these complimentary webinars with different employer partners. Okay, so for example, just for your knowledge, like even for most of the big four firms like Deloitte, even for Deloitte, yeah, they do sponsor staff taking up the professional programs. Okay, so that's one area. I know a lot of you are very familiar with the big four, but also notice that sometimes big four may not be suitable for everyone again, right? So it doesn't mean that you have to work in the big four to have a better career progression. There are a lot of other companies, good companies out there. Even some small, medium firms, they are very good in, they fully sponsor your program. They have very good working culture. So look out for those as well. Global Shared Services, if you're not familiar, we also work with a lot of global shared services company. It's a growing sector in Malaysia. Those are mostly large multinational companies where they have their global shared service arm in Malaysia. Okay, so that's also a fast growing sector that is currently actively hiring a lot of people. And you know, it might be something that's suitable for you, right? Because yeah, I mean, sometimes, you know, I mean, there's good and bad. I mean, there's good things about working with big four, but it may not be the pathway that everybody wants. So just, you know, be open to explore other opportunities as well, right? So yeah, yes, I look forward to you know, staying in touch and connecting with you all. Yes, so any questions after this, feel free to still connect with me. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Charlotte, and thank you to all of you who asked a very good question, and thanks also to our speakers for a very helpful explanation. And before we end this slot, we would like to request Ms. Charlotte to join our photography session. So to all of you, you may turn on the camera. Okay, everyone, please turn on your camera. I'm going to take the picture twice. On the count of 3, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, another one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Please share the photo with me.
Bye. All right, so I hope you have found something this morning session informative and useful. Thank you also. Thank you again, Ms. Charlotte, for spending your time with us. Well, we have come to an end. I hope we learned something from our speakers sharing. As for me, I can see myself as a member of a CPA. So this really helps me a lot with my future planning, and hope all of you are interested in joining the CPA programs and become a member of this organization. All right, so for Ms. Charlotte, the token appreciation will send to your company, and we look forward to seeing you at the next year's events. And once again, thank you, Ms. Charlotte, and thank you may leave this session. Thank you, Ms. Charlotte.
Thank you, everyone. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you, Ms. Charlotte. Thank you, Tini.
All right. All right, so attention for students, before you leave the session, this is the last code that all of you need to enter. So the link is in the chat box. So I repeat again, so this is the last code that all of you need to enter. So the link is in the chat box. And for the next ICW, is a talk session with Ms. Chan Chi Kyung and Mr. Arnil Eskenai from KPMG. And it will be starting at 2 p.m. So don't miss out, and remember to tune into our session. Thank you, everyone. So don't forget to join our Instagram contest by tagging us at AEFEPUKM on your story with hashtag ACWAwesome. So you guys can post any kind of video or picture or boomerang in your Instagram story. So don't forget to insert hashtag ACWAwesome and with the caption and tag us at AEFEPUKM. Thank you. All right, this channel will end soon. Thank you everyone for joining us today. You may leave now. See you tomorrow.